What's up, guys? Jay Lee here. Today I want to talk about something called feminine herd theory, or, female herd theory, or female herd incentive. This is something that I did not know about. This is something that I've never heard of before. I'm not sure if this came from a book. I'm not sure if this is some theory. I have no idea where this came from, what it is, but it seems valid and it seems rational in today's day and age. I was talking with this guy. I forget about what exactly, basically about female nature, et cetera, something like that. And then he starts talking about this feminine herd theory. And I was like, what? What's feminine herd theory? And he was acting like I had already heard of it or whatever. And I said, can you please explain that to me? So this is his explanation of what's called feminine herd theory. Apologize for my video being a little bit shaky. Anyway, just is what it is. It's hard for me to hold this phone and look at this other phone. Anyway, so feminine herd theory, according to this guy's explanation, these are his words taken from a screenshot from a Facebook discussion, and this is what he says. He says, masculine pack versus feminine herd. Okay, interesting that it's the masculine is a pack and the feminine is a herd. That's an interesting dichotomy. So let me read this. Masculine pack is a natural male hierarchy of cooperative competition where all members fall into a role based on ability. Now, it's interesting that it's cooperative competition. It's not a competition with each other for who's the most alpha, meaning, oh, I'm going to beat you out of the race, et cetera, et cetera. It's a cooperative competition, meaning if, one person is better than the other because it's a cooperation, because it's a team effort. When you play sports, I grew up playing basketball. So when you play sports and you recognize that somebody on the team is better than you, for the sake of the team, you pass the ball to that person, or you set that person up in order that person can display his skills and utilize his skills for the success and betterment of the team. Okay, that's the difference between, I'm always talking about alpha, beta, and the people think in this bro science bullshit, they think that to become an alpha, you need to beat other men and you need to, subvert other men and put other men down. And there's a lot of toxic misunderstanding of what a real alpha is, whereas in truth, a real alpha just helps others. A real alpha helps the team. You cannot be an alpha unless you are part of a team and unless you are helping the team. There is leadership involved in that, but when it comes to actual leadership, what leadership really is very hard to be a leader. A lot of these guys today, they don't understand that, and they think, oh, I just need to fight the other males and I need to be the most alpha, and it's this weird, like, cocky, narcissistic, toxic leadership that's not real. Cooperative competition, where all members fall into a role based on ability. Resources are collected and shared. Not one person has all the resources. Not one guy gets all the girls. Not one guy gets everything. It's shared, collected, and shared. That is real alpha shit. That is real man shit. When it comes to real men, they share and they collect the resources and distribute amongst themselves. That's not necessarily communism. It's just everybody eats. That's what a masculine pack is. Everybody eats. But today, we've got this distorted alpha bullshit where only one guy gets all the girls, one guy has all the money. That is not being a real man. Okay, let me move on. A strong pack is needed to compete against other packs for resources, not directly to just wipe them out, which is something that's toxic. It's for resources. Really, they're not competing as in fighting other packs. They're just competing with their skills to get more resources to help them survive better or to just help them in general. They're not trying to put other people down. They're not fighting dirty like that, I don't think. But I don't think that's what this means. I think they're just trying to get resources. So they're competing with other packs as far as skill goes in order to survive and gather the most resources. Feminine herd. Now, okay, so that was the masculine pack definition, which is very interesting in and of itself. I could do a whole video on just that. But let me move on. This feminine herd definition is a social hierarchy. Very interesting. The male hierarchy is cooperative competition in order to reach a goal. However, this female herd is a social hierarchy. You see how that works? Social hierarchy. We always say women are very social. Women are very social. It's a social hierarchy for females. Whereas with men, the social hierarchy is, if it exists, if it's there, it's only so the men can get resources, only so the men can succeed. Okay, it's only necessary insofar as the men need to succeed. In reality, the males, the masculine pack is seeking after the resources for the goal of survival and for the goal of the betterment of the whole pack. Now, feminine herd theory is a social hierarchy based entirely on the approval of the females. Very, very interesting and seemingly very true. Doesn't this jump out at you as very true from your experience? The herd seeks other herds or packs to infiltrate for resources. So instead of going out and earning their own resources, the women are infiltrating other herds and packs for their resources. So the masculine packs stick to themselves and they search and use their skills to retrieve their own resources, whereas the feminine herd, not the pack, the herd, seeks the approval of other females and it infiltrates other packs and herds for resources. Kind of like a virus. Instead of getting their own shit, they take stuff from other herds and packs, eventually ostracizing the stronger males of those other packs or their own packs by subverting the weaker, more controllable males. Resources are consumed and the cycle continues. So they infiltrate masculine packs, they subvert the weaker males and the more controllable males, and they pit them against each other to fight against the alphas and the leaders in that masculine pack. And the goal is to consume the resources. Now you tell me, is that going on today or not? Is that what's going on today? It sure seems like that's what's going on today. Women, particularly feminists, are using the weak beta males to get the resources, to procure the resources for themselves, for their own rulership, for their own survival, for their, if that's what you want to call it, for their own hierarchy. And they're infiltrating. Okay, now let me go on. It talks about, okay. Now I said, well, what's the incentive there? Because it sure seems like the incentive in that scenario is not long lasting. That is not going to be a sustainable system. And so I said, so given that it's not going to be sustainable, what's the incentive? And he says, male pack incentive is strength of the pack against other packs. Brilliant. Beautiful, very good. That's why America, we protect Americans. We're all about America. What's the other pack? England. England is all about England. They are for the other pack. Australia is all about Australia. Therefore, their Australian pack. Okay, Canada is for Canada. Therefore, their Canadian pack. Not to say there's not grace and kindness to other packs. There might be. I mean, we in America are graceful to the English. Men in England are graceful to those in Australia. Those in Australia are graceful to those in Canada, right? I mean, it's okay to be graceful, that's fine, but they're not in competition with those other packs because they are learning to, and they are practicing, strengthening, and continuing the strength and health and longevity of their own pack, right? So the male pack incentive is the strength of the pack against other packs. Basically meaning if all those packs, if all those countries are in competition for the resources, the United States is going to compete with England, etc., for resources in order to get, sustainable scenario for America, for the USA. And likewise, England and the UK is going to compete with America for resources simply to just survive in their own environment. That's all it is. It's about survival and strength of the pack. Okay. Female herd incentive is external resource acquisition due to consumption of resource without maintaining internal resource acquisition ability. Basically, what that means, it's a very long-winded sentence. Basically, what that means is they're not acquiring the resources themselves. They're using other people as a host to acquire the resources for them while they don't actually do anything, while they don't actually provide resources or produce resources in and of themselves. The irony of feminism is it kind of goes against that kind of nature, that female nature somewhat. The irony is so many women don't actually live up to it. They talk this big game like, we want to do everything that men can do. We want to work and do all the things that men do. In reality, female nature is actually fundamentally leeching off of men. Female nature actually uses men for resources, and it's proven, and we see it all the time. This is what they're doing. Incentive is external resource acquisition. That's hypergamy. Why are women marrying and getting in relationships with guys with a lot of money? Why does female nature chase a man who's got a lot of money? Because they want resources. They want resource acquisition due to consumption of resources without maintaining internal resource acquisition ability. So basically, they want to vicariously live and leech off of men, live through men and leech off of men for resources. This is why women are marrying rich men. This is why, what's his name? The Playboy guy, Hugh Hefner. This is why he lives in a mansion with 50 to 100 of the most beautiful women in the world. And he owns these women because they are vicariously living through his wealth and his resources. And this is what they do. And this is a large part of female nature. Again, I say this in almost every video I make. If you take away a man's job, his career, his resources, if you take away a man's house, his car, his mortgage, would his wife stick with him? I would probably say 9 times out of 10 she would leave, because female nature fundamentally wants to live vicarious through a man's resources. Now, the irony of feminism is it actually says get out there and work just like a man does. However, do women actually do that? Do women really actually do that? How many women really just are seeking for a man who's got a lot of money so they could live a nice life? How many women are really, they say they want equality, blah, blah, blah. They say one thing and do another. How many women are actually working for all their money? How many women are actually out there acquiring all the resources, or they're just looking for a guy who has resources to live vicariously through him and to use him for his resources? Okay, and that's basically what this is saying. Now, let me go on. He says here, let's see. He says they will seek, target, and infiltrate masculine packs with the goal of hierarchical destruction and resource acquisition. Once infiltration has occurred, the aggressive females will then shit test the compromised pack as a means to identify the stronger males resistant from the weaker ones controllable. The stronger males will react in kind with aggression themselves, reciprocity, as a reaction to a threat. Aggressiveness relates to loyalty. The same drives for aggression are the drives for loyalty. Both are pack behaviors which deal with predation pressure, work together to fight the predator. Aggressive females, when stressed by the stronger males, will then rally the weaker males, who are now also more aggressive, to attack the stronger males, ultimately ejecting the stronger males from the pack, which has become the herd. Now, if you're reading between the lines, they're doing this so that they can get resources. They're purposely taking down the alphas so that they can subvert the betas into control, into giving them resources, so that they can control the resource acquisition, the means of production, basically. So this is what women are doing. This is female herd mentality. Now tell me this isn't happening today. Tell me that women aren't doing this. Tell me that women aren't trying to tear down alpha men. They want to fuck us. They, that part of their nature that's like, oh, this guy's an alpha. He's strong. He can protect me. He can ward off violent threats, etc. They want to fuck that guy. They want to have a baby with that guy because that's strong male genes. But when it comes to resources, they want the beta male because they can control the beta male, meaning they can control where the resources are coming from. Now, you tell me that women aren't doing this today. You tell me that that's not what's really going on in society today. I believe it is. That's from my experience, from all the girls that I've dated, all the women I've talked to, taken as a whole, as an accumulation throughout my 25 years of in the dating dating game, of being around women, of liking girls, trying to figure out how to date them, trying to figure out how to kiss them and get intimate, trying to figure out how to love them, trying to figure out how to be friends with them, trying to figure out how to hold their hand, trying to figure out how I can date them and love them and be in a relationship. This is what I have experienced. They're trying to figure out if you're an alpha or if you're a beta so that they can either use you for a baby or use you for resources. This dampens hierarchical competition within the original pack, destroying the previously established bonds. You tell me that isn't happening today. The result is then females selecting from the top competitors of the weaker male group, absorbing them into the herd and dissolving the pack. What is that? That's a cancer. That's a virus. Tell me that's not a cancer and a virus. Tell me that's not happening today. Tell me that's not what women are doing today. 100% is. So then I say, what the F? That sounds retarded on their part. Why would they want to reduce the strongest males of the herd and replace them with submissive males? Sounds highly illogical and counterproductive, because it is. It's not sustainable. It's not. This is why marriage doesn't work. This is why relationships don't work. This is why women are riding the carousel. This is why women are out there jumping from guy to guy. This is why, because this is they're not trying to love us. They're not trying to settle down with us and build us up. They want our resources, however they can get it. This is why men are getting killed in the divorce courts. This is why evil feminist legislation throws men under the bus and uplifts women, saying women are oppressed, yet somehow simultaneously evil, while blaming the patriarchy, blaming males, etc., when the whole purpose of it is subversion of our male resources, of our hard-earned resources. This is why you should never marry. This is why you should seriously take a long walk and figure out if you really ever want to get in a relationship. This is female nature taken as a whole. Not saying there's not exceptions. Not saying there's not a woman out there who's never going to love you, who's never going to be loyal. There might be, but you gotta think about what her motivations are. In my opinion, women do it because feminism has brainwashed them into thinking strong males equates with oppression and strong male leadership is patriarchy, and fundamentally feminism is about uplifting women over men. Now, I was partially right there, but I didn't fully understand the whole theory yet. Okay. Yes, feminism is brainwashing women as a whole, but there's a goal behind it. The goal is to subvert men and subvert society, etc., the best that they can in order to get these resources. So he says, so I say, in a matriarchal strategy that might benefit the woman if her goal is usury and not love and bonding, somewhat of a profound correlation. So now I'm starting to get it. It's like, yeah, they want to use our resources, not about love. He says stronger males are less controllable by the females, so they become a threat to the herd's goal of resource acquisition. This is why women are choosing beta males, because they can use the beta males. The beta males are weak and they're easily usable. This is what I see the most in relationships. I see this the most. I see the women running the show, subconsciously using sex as a tool to brainwash the man or to control him, threatening to leave. And he knows deep down that she could leave at any time and divorce him. And there's a fear there, and women know that. And women are strong. Anybody who thinks women are dumb, not true. They're very, very, very smart. I think I said strong there. I didn't mean to say strong. I meant smart. Women are very, very smart, shrewd, and clever. They know what they're doing. Now, many of them are childlike because they don't have to live in the truth. They don't have to tell the truth. They don't have to live up to any kind of standard like males do. So many of them really are childlike and immature, but it doesn't mean that there's not a strategy behind what they do. It doesn't mean they're not smart. This is what they're doing. They are subverting the betas. They want the beta male for his resources in order to use him vicariously and use his resources. Basically, this is why a man is an ATM, a walking ATM. This is why men work and etc. so they can get a woman, and the woman just uses his resources for whatever she wants. And this is why women choose men with money. This is why strong guys who are really woke and free in their minds and who have their own, opinions and are living their best life. This is why those guys don't get laid. This is why those guys don't, I'm not saying they don't ever get laid, they do, but this is why they don't get into relationships. This is why women don't choose them for relationships, because they can't control them. They can't control them. He says, if the herd must compete against packs for resources, the males will decline in numbers. The feminine herd could then move on to another pack anyway. The strategy works. So basically, it's the same as a virus. The virus jumps from one cell to another cell. It uses up the first cell until that cell's gone, and then it jumps to the next cell and does the same thing. It uses until all the resources are gone. All the resources are gone. So that's female herd theory. I never knew that, and it's explained to me scientifically and very true, man. Wow. So that's crazy. That is crazy, something to think about. That really is something crazy to think about, that's what they're doing. This is their motivation. It's called female herd theory. That is, or female herd mentality, female herd theory, whatever. That is amazingly true. Anyway, wow, that blew my mind when I read that. Female herd incentive. Female herd incentive. It's for external resource acquisition due to consumption of resources without maintaining internal resource acquisition ability. So basically, they're just using men. Basically, this is what I've said forever. From the first time I started making these videos in 2014, 2015, around there. First time I started making these videos and putting them on YouTube, one of the first things I used to say was, and I've maintained this all throughout, it's never changed, men are viewed as utility. We are viewed as a utility. And this is what I've learned from all my years of dating experience. This is what I see every day in families that live in houses around me, couples that I see out, etc. The women are using the men. This is their attitude. We are smart. We have intuition as men. Oh yeah, the woman's intuition. Woo woo woo. Men have intuition as well. We are smart. Humans are smart. Humans have intuition. We can tell when we're being used. All the women on the dating sites, etc., how they talk to us, how they look for our resources, they're trying to use us, and they're using our sexual, they're using our sex drive, as Freud called it, using our sex drive to eke resources out of us without actually getting and earning the resources themselves. Now, I'm not saying there's not women out there that work, and I'm not saying there's not women out there who take care of themselves and pay their own bills. There are. But even those women have hypergamy. Even those women are not ever going to provide for a man. They don't want to do that. That goes against their nature. Their nature says a man is supposed to provide for me. Now, in this day and age, you can go work. You can make your money, whatever. Many women don't want to. But anyway, even though they don't want to, their nature still says, I need a man who's got money. I need a man who's going to be able to provide. I need a man who can take care of me. What if I have a baby? Who's going to take care of me during my maternal leave? Who's going to take care of me if I decide to stay home and quit my job and raise the baby, etc.? This is what they're thinking. But it's resource acquisition, and by the time that they've used the man for what they want, then they're gone. And I had a video, I think, maybe 6 months ago that I made, and it was called Women Use Men for Different Things. So a woman might use one guy because he's got money. A woman might use another guy because he's got, he works out, he's got abs. A woman might use another guy because he's a bad boy and he's dangerous. A woman might use another guy because he's a nice guy and he can fix things, and he brings her groceries home and things, and he pays her bills, whatever. They use different men for different reasons. Women are constantly looking at men as utility. How can I use this man? What can this man do for me? How can I put him to use, etc.? That is female nature. And so this makes sense. This female herd incentive makes sense. Now, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the female herd incentive, or do you prefer the male pack incentive, where the pack works together in cooperative competition in order to reach a goal of shared resources for the betterment of the pack? Or do you prefer the female herd incentive, which is external resource acquisition to consume the resources without actually earning the resources themselves, and use and subvert the weaker men in order to get the resources for themselves? What do you think is a better way to go? What do you think is a better road? I know for me, I think the male pack is better, but the women and the feminists, they want to call that the patriarchy. They want to build up their female herd incentive. They want to build up their social hierarchy, which is that's what women do. They're in a social hierarchy. That's what they do. They fight and vie for social dominance, whereas men, we fight and vie for resource dominance. You see how that works? What do you think is better? You know, men are fighting and vying to build up the pack, to help the members of the pack in cooperative competition, meaning the person with the most skills is the one who's going to be the leader. The person who leads correctly and in the best way is the one who's going to have longevity as a leader. Whereas the women are trying to tear down those men who are the best equipped. The women are trying to tear down those men who will lead to, you know, longevity of the pack. And they're trying to build up the beta males. They're trying to build up the weaker males in order to take their resources. And then once the resources are dried up, then they move on to another male. And that's called monkey branching. That's what they're doing. And whether those resources are really tangible financial resources, or whether those resources are something like your confidence or your fun or your ability to have a good time, or your smart mind, they're using you 9 times out of 10 in relationships. And this is what I've experienced: women using me for certain things, using me for a good time. And so, and anybody who thinks and buys into this idea that, oh, men all want sex and all we want is to use women for sex, you've never experienced a woman using you for sex, or using sex to get something out of you, dangling sex in front of your face in order to dupe you into giving you what she wants from you. Like I said, whether that's good times, whether you take her out to clubs and you guys dance, whether you take her out. And this is why guys do things like that. We do things like that so we can provide entertainment, so we can provide opportunities for her to exchange sexuality for whatever we're giving her. This is why guys try to impress women with their nice cars, try to impress women by buying them nice dinners. I heard Donald Trump used to impress women by buying them very nice furniture. He used to take women furniture shopping and furnish their houses and their apartments and their condos and their townhouses, townhomes. And when he would do that, they would give him sex. This is what I read. Even a woman herself explained that, oh yeah, Donald Trump, he used to take me, furniture shopping. Ooh, and why do men do things like that? So that they can get sex, so they can acquire sex. And what do men do? What do women do? Women are using sex and dangling sex in front of men's faces so that they can get those things. And some people will think, well, it's just an exchange and, it's all fair. And no, that's a weird scenario. There's a weirdness there. I don't want to be used. It's not to say that I don't want to have a good time. It's not to say that I don't want to have fun or whatever. And if that's all she's quote unquote using you for, then that's not terrible, but she's still technically using you. Are you using her for a good time? I don't know. Maybe there's an exchange there, but I wouldn't say that that's normal, etc. Whatever. You would really want to hopefully, mutually bring something to the table, and you would mutually want to have sex, and she wouldn't be peddling sex and using sex as a bartering tool, and so many women are, but they just don't talk about it. They just don't admit it. They don't admit that that's what they're doing. They don't admit that's what their strategy is. Why do you think all these weak beta males, white knight, male feminist sympathizers are out protecting quote unquote women from misogynistic incels who are telling the truth about female nature? Why do you think these guys are doing that? They're doing that so that they can get the benefits and the incentive, which is maybe I'll get a little bit of pussy. Maybe if I defend women enough, I'll get a little bit of pussy. They'll give me something as a reward for defending their honor. That's the whole joke about the white knight and the whole white knight meme, but it's very true. I've encountered dozens and hundreds and thousands of white knights over the last 10 years on social media. Every time I post something like this, every time I talk about female nature, every time I talk bad about feminism or say anything remotely negative about a woman anywhere, there's usually a creepy little white knight who crawls out of the woodwork to defend a woman. And he doesn't even get anything out of it on the internet. What's besides brownie points? I mean, this is how beta and unmasculine these emasculated these men are, who think that, oh yes, I defended I defended a woman on the internet, so therefore I'm somehow valuable. My life has meaning. It's just the most beta thing ever. Like, you are not masculine. You are not an alpha at all. You are not a strong male. Whether you're an alpha or a beta, whatever, at the very least, you're not a strong male. It's weak to defend somebody who is really doing something wrong just so you can get brownie points with women in general, and maybe you'll get a little bit of pussy someday. I mean, that's just the most slimy, crappy thing I can think of. But that's the guys that they're using. That is what these women are doing. Infiltrate for resources, ostracizing the stronger males, subverting the weaker, more controllable males. Resources are consumed, and the cycle continues. So instead of working for their own shit, instead of working with a man and helping a man in cooperation, they are leeching like a succubus, leeching our resources, leeching our, utilizing our masculinity, utilizing our male essence in order to get whatever they can get out of us, whether it's financial, whether it's legislative, whether it's our aura, our masculine confidence, whatever. This is how they do it. All right? I think you guys get it. Appreciate you listening. It's been Jay Lee with Northwest Podcast. Peace.